Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. We have made a lot of history with West Genesee Athletics here, but never before have we had a back-to-back live broadcast. We just had the boys basketball team, which Vinny Firenze is a part of, and now it's a feature for you, Vinny. Happy to have you here. I wanted to do this on the show, but this way felt so much better. A nice couch, coach, being here at the Wildcat, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, every single month, here with the Wildcats, and of course this is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, head coach Joe Corley of the football team at West Genesee, and of course Vinny Firenze, multiple position player and going for strong safety, free safety in your commitment to the Dayton Flyers. First and foremost, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So bring me into the recruitment process from your point of view. How was it? What was the experience like for you?
Not gonna lie, it sucked. So we kind of started this summer. I went to 10 different prospect camps, a lot of different Ivy League schools, just kind of any schools that had interest in me. I've always wanted to play at the highest level possible, so there were definitely some schools I had to be like, hey, I'm looking at another school that I want to work on that. But yeah, so 10 different camps. My mom drove me around everywhere. So many miles on the car, I can't even count. But yeah, so the biggest thing I think as far as recruitment and getting connections with other coaches, nowadays it's actually Twitter, which sounds weird, but that's how you communicate. I mean, we had a few coaches come to our school personally and meet with us, and you can definitely meet guys like that, but I think as far as getting out, like especially over in Ohio, stuff like that, you have to use Twitter because it connects you further than just 2 hours away from here.
So, for you to go through social media, like you said, to be honest, it wasn't great to go through recruiting. Social media-wise, do you feel like you found ways to utilize that, and were you able to did you send film through that way? I mean, how did you use social media to your advantage?
Yeah, so it was a way to let every coach know my progress and things. Like after every camp, I'd post a quick video, what I did there, how I had a great time, whatever, stuff like that. Let them know that I'm still active, working, trying to find different things. And then, of course, mid-season, I posted some highlights on there, and then the end of the season, stats and the full highlight tape, as well as sectional championship, which is nice.
Yeah. Congratulations on that little nugget as well, as Coach and I have spoken about. Coach, how are you?
Doing well, Dan. How you doing?
Good. It's been 7 years that we've been here at the Wildcat, which means Danny Tome, the owner, is now 25 years old, and I just turned 21, which is awesome. I like it. But a big shout out to Danny and the crew. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Dan.
I'll say this tonight because he's here wearing the hat. Go Phillies. I'm not going to say it again. So, but I mentioned 7 years, Joe, because you and I were the first show. First Wake Up Call Wildcat Sports Pub show with West Genesee. And back in the day, we were nestled in a corner over there. Now we're on a stage sitting on a leather couch. And all of these years together, the come up, getting back to a sectional championship, winning that, I feel like it's fitting that you get to sit on a really nice couch after having a really nice season. And we've had a really long road of getting to see this team grow with players like Vinny. So congratulations, because before my eyes, it's been pretty special to know you and have you as a friend.
Appreciate that, Dan. Yeah, it's been a great run. It certainly has been a long road, at times a difficult one, but it's kids like Vinny that make this job worthwhile. Kids that enjoy being out there, practicing, kids that compete, do things the right way, and obviously we're proud of him and happy for him to have this opportunity to be successful, to get an education and chase his passion.
And Vinny, Dayton, how?
It's actually a weird story. So over the summer during my camps, I was talking to a school called Carnegie Mellon, which is actually really good, like academic school, stuff like that. And I met some coaches from there, and we were in talks for a little bit, and they ended up actually kind of pressuring me to commit really early, end of the summer almost, and I was just like, I want to keep my opportunities open, options, all that. So I kind of had to turn them down. But one of the coaches I met from there ended up getting hired at Dayton. So he gets to Dayton, he's like, hey, there's this kid from New York, like, check him out.
Who was it?
Coach A, his last name's hard to pronounce.
Okay, Coach A, I like that.
It's like a Mika Hay or something like that. I'm not sure.
So he moves over from Carnegie Mellon to Dayton.
Yep. And then, so he just kind of let them know, and then I don't know how long it took, but I ended up getting a call from Coach Flaherty from Dayton, which is their linebacker safety coach. He called me up, let me know, wanted me down for a visit and all that. They said they loved the tape and things, and then it just kind of went from there.
And so that connection, which proves something that Coach Corley and I have talked about a lot, you don't burn your bridges, right? Because you make that connection, and like you said, that school is kind of like pushing you to commit. You're like, I don't really want to right now, but that coach remembered you and then sought you out again. So you never know how things kind of come back around. Coach, what can you say about Vinny's story and the fact that we're sitting up here tonight talking about the Dayton Flyers FCS Division I AA? I mean, this is a really awesome opportunity for yet another Central and Upstate New York young person.
I think it's a story of perseverance for one, because I mean, he's talking a bit about it, but the recruiting process has changed so much in the last 20 years. And when I first got into coaching, it was as simple as reach out to a coach, send him a DVD. Working?
Yeah, you're
Good?
Yeah.
When I first got into coaching 15, 20 years ago, it was as simple as send a coach a DVD, or I should say a VHS cassette, because that's what it was when I started. They would evaluate it and they'd make an offer, or they wouldn't. It was that simple. It was done by mail, it was done by phone, it was done in person as much as possible, but then digital video came along and we used Huddle, and that created opportunities for kids to reach out to coaches that they may not have had contact with in the past, but that also led to the digital era of social media and things like that. And it was a great opportunity to make connections with coaches that you wouldn't have otherwise, but it's also created such a complicated process with the amount of travel that goes into it. That led to the one-day prospect camps, because now it's turned into live evaluations as opposed to film. It's just created a lot of obstacles that didn't exist 15, 20 years ago. And then the transfer portal comes in. And now that just extends the process that much further. So, just knowing that it was going to be a long road for Vinny, and knowing how badly he wanted to play at the highest level possible, and knowing that he was going to go to whatever length he had to find the best opportunity. And not just Vinny, but his mom Eileen, who's committed to him and his success. And just an incredible story of perseverance, and one where they weren't going to give up, but they found the perfect fit, and they did. So I'm happy for them.
And you and I have talked about this before, making sure that there is a spotlight on Central and Upstate New York. Any sport, I take it personally. I wear, and I get them from Whitty Wicks, and this hat that I have on now, but Whitty Wicks right around the corner on 190 Township Boulevard here in Camillus. Upstate, 315, Syracuse, the Upstate hats. I've always been about the student athletes, as you know, here in this community, but I wear it everywhere I go. And Vinny, like when I'm down in Florida, Upstate, and I have people stop me and go, is that Upstate New York? Yes, it is. And the reason why I wear it literally has to do with this community. The student athletes, the coaches, the businesses, building up the place where I grew up and where I'm from, because student athletes here didn't get the love, and you deserve it. You work hard for it, and there's kids working hard all over the country. So to not have a spotlight here is wrong, and I take that as a really big piece of my company. And I know Coach, it matters a lot to him. So Coach, when these situations come about and Vinny or anybody's having a tough time figuring out how do I go about this, what do I do, I want to get some eyes on me, how personal do you take it to want to be there for these guys?
Very personal. It's my biggest goal as a coach is to help these guys find opportunities to create a platform for them to be successful and chase their passion, which is hopefully college football. And to your point, we don't get a lot of love around here because there is talent in Central New York. There is talent in Upstate in Section 3. But geographically, we're very spread out. There's a lot of small communities, and as a result, it's very, very difficult to get exposure, compared to some of the bigger cities in the Northeast. And it is frustrating as a coach. But people like Vinny, people that are willing to do whatever they got to do to get themselves the exposure they need. And again, it goes back to perseverance and not giving up until you find the fit or until they find you.
Vinny, you play two ways. You're going to college strong safety, free safety. Is that a preference? How do you look at, can you say goodbye to offense? Would you ever say hello to it again? Where do you stand on all that?
I've probably kind of always been like either way. I don't really mind. My sophomore year up to now, I've always been a safety, like no matter what. Quarterback this year was I've always been like the backup to the backup of quarterbacks. Just because, I played baseball, I know how to throw the ball, I just can run, whatever. But I've never really took it super seriously. I mean, obviously until this year. And we kind of just needed somebody. River Automobile, he graduated last year and didn't really have anybody else. And I was like, I'll play quarterback as long as I don't have to stop playing safety. Like I've always been wanting to play safety and stick with that, and that's kind of just been like how I am. I love tackling people. I love running towards anything coming at me. So yeah, safety is definitely the number one, and I think it's a good thing for colleges too to look at and be like, okay, this guy can also throw if we need him. Like, say we got 3 quarterbacks in line and they're all hurt, like put them in, like you can figure it out, So the versatility definitely helps out, but safety is definitely my top choice.
You said something that made me think about something that I've heard a lot. There's those that run into the storm and there's those that run from it. You said you love running at things. Why do you like the contact? Why do you like to run into the storm?
Ever since I started football, I kind of it's the one way to legally hit someone as hard as you want, which sounds weird, but that's kind of how it works. And I've just been like taught that my whole life, and when I grew up playing football, I loved the contact ever since, and anything that comes at me, I love getting down and going at them.
How does Mom feel about you liking to run into the storm?
She definitely gets scared at times, but I think she knows I'm pretty tough, and I always get back up anyway. It's definitely, I see her get scared, and she tells me she's worried, but she sticks to it. She knows I'm tough.
Coach, you smiled when Vinny said that it's the only place where you can legally hit somebody. Your thoughts?
I think it just speaks to Vinny as a competitor. He's a true competitor, and what a better way to bring out your competitive nature than a full contact sport, right?
Yeah.
And when most people, especially in this day and age, are going to shy away from that, that's exactly what Vinny does. In fact, his first game as a starter, and he probably remembers this, was the spring season, his sophomore year, COVID season, whatever you want to call it. 2-point conversion attempt by CBA. We're up 1 as time's expired, and Vinny came up as a sophomore and smacked a kid in the backfield like I hadn't seen before from the safety. And he looked up, saw the official, waved it no good. We won the game. Looked over at Tim Schmidt, our defensive coach, and I said, "You got a special one right there. Don't screw it up."
That moment, is that your favorite? Is the sectional championship your favorite? What's your favorite?
I think sectional championship still got it, but I think that was definitely a crucial moment, especially not only to show the coaches what I knew I could do, but to prove to myself that I'm ready for this level and I can keep going and push it no matter what.
NCAA Division I. A lot of kids dream about it. You're going to do it. What goes through your mind and your heart knowing that this is real? There's a lot of kids go to bed at night, NFL sheets, lay on that pillow, dreaming about the day they get to play D1. You're going to do it.
I'm just super excited, and I think I have to thank everybody who's really helped me along the way, the coaches, parents, teammates. One of them's here watching, my lineman. Love you, Derek. But yeah, I think it's really just a dream come true. I've always wanted to, and I think super excited to go right now and compete. Obviously,
especially at that level, you're no longer the big dog. Like, you got to fight for your spot and fight for your name and stuff like that. So, super excited to get down there and compete and just keep working.
Coach, you hear Vinny Firenze say two things that you don't typically hear people say. As I said before, running towards something and liking competition. In the transfer portal world we live in today, when competition arises, players run. Quarterback gets told somebody's coming in, he leaves to go somewhere else. Vinny's saying, give me the competition, give me the contact, give me the story. Thoughts on that?
Just speaks to him as a competitor. That's what he's all about. That's what he's been since the day I started coaching him. It's 3 seasons now. He's never shied away from the thing. One thing that kind of sticks out with me about Vinny, and this has happened a few months ago, and maybe it was the week of the semifinal or the finals, I don't remember, but it was one of those days where he had been so sick all week he could barely talk. He could barely go through a cadence. His voice was gone. He was coughing nonstop, and he would not take himself out, to the point where I finally had to tell him, step out, get a drink of water, get the cough under control, and come back in. And he didn't want to go. And I don't remember how it went down, but let's just say he was pretty pissed off. He may have taken his helmet off and slammed it on the ground. But that's what Vinny's all about. You know, he, as a high school kid, this is rare, but he really values the importance of practice. He values the importance of competing at every level, whether it be in practice, on offense and defense, in the game, in the weight room, on the basketball court, the baseball field. There's just very, very few that have those qualities. So when I tell that story, it's because I was proud of him for that. Because any other kid, not any other kid, that's not fair to say, but a lot of kids, when a coach tells them, hey, why don't you go out and get a drink of water, they're going to jump on that opportunity.
And I would agree with that. Vinny, Coach tells that story. There's only one player I thought about. Do you know what player I'm thinking about? When I hear someone not wanting to go out, visibly angry, throwing a helmet on the sideline, do you know who I'm thinking of? He was the regular season MVP, the Super Bowl MVP, and a Super Bowl champion twice now. Pat Mahomes said, I'm not going out, somebody's going to have to take me out. And when they told him to go out with a high ankle sprain multiple times, and he would finally go to the side of the field, he was throwing the helmet, hitting the seat because he didn't want to come out. There's guys that get taken out of a game, replaced, right? You're the starter, now you're not. And that's when they get upset. You see a guy who gets called for something where it's personal and it's for him and it's individual, and they get upset. Coach just talked about the fact that you wanted to help your team, and that's when you got upset. Why are you about your team more than yourself?
You can't be about yourself in a team sport. It's really what it comes down to. It's not.
Put that quote on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Say that again?
You can't be about yourself in a team sport.
Yeah, I think a lot of people need to hear that. Pretty simple term, but I think I might make a t-shirt with that on it. I'll give you credit. I'll put Vinny.
That's good. No, but I think, especially football, like, you're not going to just be a one-man show no matter what. Obviously, there's going to be the stars and the athletes who look better, but it's still everybody coming together as one unit and getting that win. Like, if we weren't a team, we weren't together, we weren't a family, we're not winning that sectional championship, anything like that. MVP alone, like, I'm not taking credit for that as a team effort. And we really just came together as a family. So.
That moment that you have, that you get to take with you as you step forward, what is Dayton getting? How would you describe the player that Dayton's getting, the person that Dayton's getting?
Well, first, they're getting a first-team All-State PD. Just going to put that out there. No, but they're getting, I don't want to toot my own horn too much, so I'm going to let Coach say that. But I think they're just going to get the hardest worker possible, and I'm going to be doing whatever I can to not only better myself but for the team. And whether I'm starting or not, I'm going to be working on that scout team, helping everybody else out. So I just want the best for the team no matter what.
I'm going to be real with you. If I had met you a few years ago and I was coaching, I would have tried to steal you from Joe Corley. Because what you're saying is what I wish so many people would sit and talk to me about in shows. You just said, I'm going to fight out on the field. If I'm on the scout team, I'm going to fight on the scout team. You don't hear, Coach, let me play special teams. Coach, let me be on the scout team. I'm just happy to be here. I don't want to drink the water. I'm the 4th string DB, but I'm here. People don't say that. And I'm not here to toot your horn either, right? But I'm here to tell you, Vinny, keep that, because that's going to not make you a good football player, maybe great, but it's going to make you a great person, great father, a great husband, a great leader, a great friend, a great son, because caring about the team above yourself will help you through your whole life. And it's also going to help you that you are a selfless leader, because without those traits, people fail repeatedly. It's not that you're not going to have times where you trip and that the adversity is not going to come, but you're much better set for adversity when you are humble and appreciative of the opportunities you have. Coach, I wish I could go back and steal this kid from you.
I'm glad you can't. I would take him back for a year if I could.
When you hear, let me play on scout team, I know you've talked about it, but I said, what is Dayton getting? And he said he's going to let you because he doesn't want to talk about himself. So what is Dayton getting?
So they're going to get a leader, a kid that leads the right way by example, positive example, a kid that doesn't quit no matter what the situation and watches film. That'll speak for itself. You're going to get a student athlete, so you're going to get a kid who takes the game of football very, very seriously, but values his education and understands that that's the most important thing. All in all, you're going to get a kid that really enjoys being around the game. And for me, my biggest joy comes when the kids enjoy practice, and that's very, very difficult to come by, because practice is not always fun. Practice is a grind. It's monotonous. You're tired. You're sore. Mentally, physically, emotionally, practice is difficult, especially when you go on a run and you're in early mid-November, it's cold outside. When you get a kid that enjoys being out there practicing in those conditions for that long, that's something special. And those coaches are going to value that, and they're going to learn that the minute they get them on campus. So they're going to get the full package, Dan. They're going to get it all.
I just want to know, speaking of packages, when do I get my Dayton Flyers stuff that I can rock for you, Vinny? When am I getting that hat?
I actually just got my stuff today, so if you want to take a quick picture,
Okay.
Other than that,
All right. All right. Yeah,
I just want a hot dog when I come out for a game. I just want a hot dog.
I told you off there, I loved going to Dayton's basketball arena. It's where the first fours played for the men's Division I tournament for basketball, and I loved that experience. I was there with Syracuse and St. Bonnie's, which was really cool, but there was nothing like it, and it was such a cool experience that I will catch myself thinking about Dayton. I was at a hotel within walking distance, and I just walked right over to the arena. Calm, quiet, fun, awesome, and the atmosphere was so great. So you're going to have fun on the football field. You're going to have fun on campus, and you're going to have a lot of fun knowing that the world at least once a year is looking at Dayton in those situations, which is pretty cool. We're going to jump into rapid fire. This is our special with Vinny Firenze, celebrating Central and Upstate New York, born and raised, West Genesee athlete here, strong safety, free safety, heading out to the Dayton Flyers to play Division I NCAA football in college. Head coach Joe Corley of the the sectional champions, and sectional champions a few years back as well. We got to sit up here with your former players then too, not knowing, that was cool, Vinny. We sat up here with the last sectional team going into your season, not knowing what was going to happen this season. So maybe they gave you some good energy on that one. I hope we're talking about a state title sometime soon as well.
You and me both.
So with that being said, we're going to play rapid fire, which means we get to ask each other a question apiece. So we're going to round robin this thing. We'll go this way, and then we'll go back the other way. Coach, you get to ask a question to Vinny.
So I'm going to see this from Coach Ken. I won't ask you for your entire starting lineup, but give me 5 football players you want to be on the field with. You're part of it. What's your position? I think I know what your position is, but what's their position?
So I'm sure you can expect my first answer is going to be Dom. Me and him grew up playing Top Warner. Strong connection there, so definitely Dom. He can play DB or wide receiver. Let's just build a defense for now, though, since I'm already on that side. So yeah, he'll be at corner, I'll be at safety. best duo out there. Nothing's going down on our side. And then at linebacker, we got to have Landon. I've been also playing with him since Pop Warner for so long. Super strong connection with him, so definitely Landon. And then we got my lineman out here, Derek. Came out to support me. Definitely got Derek out there. He can go. He'll be on offense though, but because he prefers that. But yeah, definitely Derek. Love Derek. Always strong connection with Derek. And then I think I'm gonna go with in terms of like level of play. I'm gonna go with Dan Becker. I used to play with him back my sophomore year. He's a great linebacker. I think he's at Corley now. Had a good time. He's a great leader. Taught me a lot. So definitely that. One more, right? Think one more.
One more.
Yeah.
Juice.
Easiest pick, I think. Oh, actually, it's not an easy pick because I'm between two now. You know what? Derek's not in it anymore because we're building a defense. I got two more picks.
Okay.
Linebacker, Jerry Grossmith. Played with him my whole life. He is not afraid of anything. He's psycho, but I love it. He'll be out there screaming at other players of joy, of pain. It's crazy to me, but yeah. And then last one is Taekwon. I played with him last year. Big, huge nose guard, goofiest kid, but biggest kid you'll ever play with, and he always having fun and went downhill, and it was super fun with him.
I like that.
It's a solid defense. I'll take it.
I like it. Vinny, you get to ask me one.
I'm gonna go with, why did you decide to start doing all this, like everything?
Get into it. So I started right when I got in college. I was 17, 18. And so it'll be 20 years this November, which is insane. So I'm saying it now, I'm saying 20, thank you, because I'm hoping that Joe will buy me a cake. So I like Carvel cake, and I also like cookie cake, Joe. So whichever one you like the most. But 20 years ago, it's funny, 20 years ago I knew I wanted to sportscast, but when I was 5 years old, my dad had a word processor, which is in my office to this day. And it sits there to remind me where I started at 5 years old on a typewriter that had a little tiny screen. It was like the Mercedes of typewriters. And you could actually see what you were typing instead of just hoping for the best. And I would write stories on a Saturday morning. He would get up, he'd go outside, he'd work on the yard. I'd say, Dad, can you get the word processor and get it for me? And he'd open it up, put it on the desk, weighed more than I did. He'd open it, he'd put the paper in there, and I'd write a story. I've always been a storyteller. I love my community. I love telling people stories. I love making people laugh. I love hopefully making people think. I love imparting some type of like positive energy and receiving that. So over the last 20 years, it's been storytelling, laughing, building friendships, and being someone who can say, without the world of sports, I wouldn't have most of my friends. You know, it's one thing, and Coach knows this, it's one thing to walk up to Coach after the game and ask him 2 questions, shake his hand and good night. But I'll ride with this guy whenever, wherever, because I consider him a good man. I like the fact that you build these relationships where you feel like someone's there for you, they care about you, you talk about your family. One of my favorite things we got to do this year is the last interview I did this season was with Coach and his son. It's moments like that that I never thought of when I started this, but I get to be a part of someone's life and they get to be a part of mine, and my world is so tiny and it's all positive. So I honestly feel that Macklemore line where he said, I got my city right behind me, if I fall, they got me. I really feel that every day. So it's a cool job, man. I don't feel like I worked at all. All right, Joe, we're gonna go that way and back this way. We've played this game so many times that it's hard for me to think about what I haven't asked you.
Likewise.
Yes, so I was
talking about this.
So I would say, let me think here. All right. I want to go to the dinner one. I don't think I've ever asked you this. So let's one I'm going to steal from Fred Kent. If you could have dinner with any 3 people, living or deceased, who would they be and why?
Nick Saban. He's the head coach of Alabama. He's the reason I'm an Alabama fan. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him.
Roll Tide.
For what he does. Roll Tide, roll.
Roll Tide.
Got a chance to get down to Alabama last spring. I watched the football clinic. I watched a couple of practices. Got a chance to shake his hand and say a few things to him, and I'm really just itching to get back down there one more time and
You got to talk to him.
be able to have a conversation and actually talk to him one-on-one.
Yeah.
So definitely Nick Saban. Secondly, my grandfather on my mother's side. My mother comes from an Italian family, as you know, very tight-knit family. Very close to my mom's side of the family, and my grandfather passed away 3 years before I was born. So, you know, he lives on through just the stories of my mother and my uncle and you know, people that we've known, you know, 40 years ago at this point. So just to get a chance to meet him and be able to talk to him and get to know him would be something. You said 3, right? Mm-hmm. It's 2. Oh boy.
Just don't say LeBron James. I don't want to hear it
He
again.
might be the last one I've heard.
Yeah, probably one of my last 2.
Oh gosh. Keeping it to sports, I would say probably Derek Jeter.
Okay.
You know, there's probably, in my opinion, there's not a professional athlete who achieved more success and did it the right way. I mean, think of all the exceptional professional athletes that have gone through it and just had a black eye because of what went on off the field or behind the scenes. Where it felt like Derek Jeter did everything the right way. He respected the game. People respected him. He obviously was, you know, an established leader, captain of the league, which is a big deal. So to be able to sit down and talk to him and ask him questions and ask him in particular, how did you do it and how did you sustain it for so long? Probably Derek Jeter.
Yeah, I think I agree. You know, I said you'd be hard pressed to find somebody where he was never in the tabloids. He was just a really good player, and that was it. You know, there was never an issue with him. What's your question for me?
In the same boat, what haven't I asked you is the question.
Yeah. 7 years.
If you could go anywhere in the world right now, where would it be and why?
Well, I just went on my first cruise, went on a Disney cruise, and I went to Cozumel, Mexico, and I got to swim with the dolphins, which was awesome. And I got to go to the Bahamas. So I'd probably go, if I had to pick right now in this moment, with my allergies being insane and every time the weather changes me feeling like someone's suffocating me, I would go to Hawaii. I want to go to a luau. I want to eat really good food. I'm single, so that's fun. And I just want to be on a beach somewhere, man, where the water is clear. That's what I want. So I would go to Hawaii. And I got a couple people I know from there, so it would be nice to see the islands, you know. And there's some comedians that talk about it. Sounds like a cool place. So I'd go there. All right, Benny, I got one for you. You heard your teammates at basketball talk about how none of them have ever seen a movie and or listened to a song. Have you done either?
Yes.
Okay, music or movies are you more connected to?
Both. I mean, you mentioned Marvel to Gary. I do watch them.
You do watch the Marvel movies, okay. So, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is coming out. You and I are going to be shrunken and put into the quantum realm. What characters would you choose for you to be and for me to be to defeat Kang the Conqueror?
That's a tough one.
I'm going to see it tomorrow, so I'm like psyched.
I don't even know what they're talking about.
I know you don't. The way I said it, I was like, Joe's going to sit here like, who is Kang the Conqueror? What's shrinking? What's the quantum realm? So I knew when I asked the question, I'd see the face, and that's what I wanted. So we'll just pretend like Joe's not here right now. It's fine.
So I think definitely one of us has to be Ant-Man, just because it's going there, and you need to have the most knowledge of that area.
Okay.
I think maybe we can make you Pym.
I'd be Hank Pym.
Yeah, you
All
can
right.
be Hank Pym. But then I think I'm gonna go with my favorite. It's Thor. I'd be Thor. He's kind of, but he's gotta have both both weapons were there.
So you got a Stormbreaker and Mjolnir. Okay. All right. I'll be Ant-Man. I'll ride with that. I'm good with that answer. All right. Final one of the nights. You get to ask Coach.
So obviously I got very close with him this year. Coach Schmidt, our defensive coordinator, very old school, hard knocks type of coach. What are your biggest? What's your one biggest pro and one biggest con for him?
Pro and con for Coach Schmidt?
Yep.
Gosh, I don't think I have a con for Coach Schmidt. I can't even begin to tell you how blessed I am to have him on our staff. I mean, not just as a defensive coach, but as a veteran coach who's been around for so long, been to so many places. I mean, I'm the head coach by title, but I can't tell you how many times I've leaned on him and gone to him for his input and his suggestions, or how many times he's just said, "Look at Joe, I get what you're doing, but why don't we let's just do this time?" Because the guy's just been around for so long, and he's intelligent. There's no other way to put it. I mean, Vinny, I don't have a con for Coach Schmidt. The pros are just how he does things. I mean, he has a belief system of keeping it simple. He has a philosophy of wanting the kids to be A students getting lined up, and then B students when the ball snaps. Just don't think, just be an athlete, react, and follow your instincts. And prior to Coach Schmidt, we had Steve Bush was our head coach prior to Coach Schmidt coming on board with me, and Steve was outstanding. He spent 6 or 7 years at Syracuse. He spent 4 years in the NFL after coaching at West Genesee. But coaching under Steve, it was all about preparation. It was all about scheme. It was all about the X's and O's. And man, he did a phenomenal job of game planning and scheming to get guys in the right spots. And Tim Schmidt's the exact opposite. He was all about just get the kids lined up, get them on the football field, and get them playing fast and physical. And over the last 4 or 5 years, we had a run of success now since 2017. Let's just say it has a lot to do with him and the product he puts on the football field. So I don't have a con for you, Vinny, but I have a lot of pros.
I have no concern with Coach Schmidt.
Vinny Firenze, committed to the Dayton Flyers, NCAA Division I football. Congratulations. Yet another Central and Upstate New York, proving that there is plenty of talent. You just got to look under the snow. That's all you got to do. Coach Corley, once again, as always, it's my pleasure to sit here with you. So
thank you, Dan. As always, you do so much to bring positive exposure to our athletes. Really appreciate you.
Well, it's my pleasure to do it. Vinny, very happy for you.
Thank you so much.
When I saw the tweet, when you put that out there, I was more than ecstatic to share that. So I'm happy that we got to sit down and do this. And hopefully we'll have more conversations coming up. Coach, you're stuck with me. Sorry. And we will be here every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, as we've been for 7 years now at the Wildcat Sports Pub, a proud partner of everything we do with Wake Up Call. Have yourselves a great night. For West Genesee Football, for Vinny Firenze, for the very intelligent Dayton Flyers, I hope you all have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.